everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson on the Big Ice Sports Podcast on USBN Sports. And always, I'm joined with my co-host, Steve Ellis. And Steve, finally got your brother in here.
Yes.
We took a while to get Moose in, took a while to get Brad in, but it's exciting to finally catch up with the big brother here.
Well, it is good because we got to catch him before January because he's going to retire and probably sail away, and we won't see him for a while.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Plus, he's a pretty busy man here with the seasons coming up with the old football and with the Bearcats and the Bengals. We'll get into that a little bit later on.
Sir.
So, as we said, joining us is our guest here, Brad Ellis. And Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure. I've watched a ton of your podcasts, and it's pretty cool to be here.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And the thing I know your brother's going to be very happy about is the next question that we get into is we always talk about where you grew up and all that stuff. And I know we finally don't have a Summit Estater. We finally got your side of the street.
On the south side of Beachmont.
So just explain to everybody where you grew up and what it was like growing up in the area that you did.
If everybody doesn't know, we grew up on the corner of Forest and Pinewell and Brittany Acres.
Right.
In the Brittany Acres area. So we were on the south side. But we had a lot of kids growing up in that area too, and did a lot of playing in what we called the circle, which is Shady Pine.
Yeah.
And,
is that like when you first go down
that cul-de-sac back
right
down
there, just the first street on the left?
John Siegel.
Okay.
Yeah. So we played a lot of all of our touch football and basketball is down there, and in the house behind there, we my dad and some other ones like not plowed, but they cut the field. It was just a field then, and they built their own backstop out there. And my dad brought home mud flaps from semis to make bases. So we played baseball.
Hold on, so that was before Brittany Acres was built, or
no? It's where that cul-de-sac is at First Street behind there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now there's houses that are right along 8 Mile now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
and think of it, the one thing I never thought was your yard actually was. I mean, when you were little, was probably a big enough yard.
Yeah, we played a lot
of football.
Yeah. Perfect. It's more the backyard, and you kind of have the side yard too.
The side yard mainly.
Really?
Yeah.
That backyard wasn't.
Yeah, because for some reason.
Oh, you had the patio. You had the patio too.
The patio and the fence, and it wasn't a whole lot. We played football, and Greg would always. We had letters for plays. D, J. Those. One of them was go around the tree, try to get your defender to run into the tree, and then catch the pass from coming around the edge of the tree.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I mean, who was? So I know he's mentioned a couple of the Lyman Stalls.
Yep.
You said John Siegel.
Yeah, Kerry Campbell. At one point, there were the Soleys that lived across the street. The Fishers.
Chris.
Chris
really?
Fisher,
Yeah. Where did he? Chris Fisher, Doug Fisher.
Yeah.
They lived on that side road, like right in our
across from the Lime
side
Stalls.
yard. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you had like the Reinhardts down that hill.
Reinhardts,
Coronas, Geysers.
Corona. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's some of the ones I didn't even know lived around there. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So before we get into some of the sports he played, do you want to talk about our sponsor?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. Forgot that.
That's okay. We can get to it right now. Because this is the week for it.
It really is. Yeah, this is an awesome thing that Jimmy Surger has done for us. And he's our sponsor. He's a podcast being sponsored by Summit Estates, Anderson Township, and Manick grad Jim Surger. His latest book, 9/11, A Time to Always Remember, is on sale now nationwide. Over 90 Americans from coast to coast are in this book, including folks from McNick, Turpin, Anderson, including Steve and myself, and of this podcast. And also these books are available or sold or jimsurger.com. And I tell you what, he's been going all over the place. West Virginia. He was just at Mount Washington, that Tome bookstore.
Tonight he's in Georgetown.
Yeah, he's in Georgetown.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that.
Yeah. And he's going all over the place. And it's just a really neat thing. And just to see, he came over by the other day and stopped by, and he was telling me a story that an old neighbor of mine lived in Florence, Kentucky. She drove to the one on Beachmont and said, hey, I know some people in this book. And she went, Danny Albers, I was his neighbor. And he's like, oh. And so they started talking. And so just stuff like that. He's like, I'm sure there's other people that and they do. And it's just really cool that but he asked us to be a part of it. And then for him to be a sponsor of these podcasts is just absolutely incredible. We've got great response, not only from Jim, but from everybody else.
He deserves it.
So definitely go out there and check out that book, and I'm sure you can see it. I mean, he said it's doing pretty well. So
and like you said, you know some of the people in there. You know, one of them is in there as Randy Meek.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's just really cool.
Randy.
Yeah, and he's from what I've heard, he's getting ready to write another book again.
I know it.
So he's just doing very well with that. Obviously, it's a passion of his. So again, so thanks to Jim for sponsoring not only this podcast but the podcast we've had previously.
Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you. So
was that better?
That was much better.
Read it slow that time.
Thank you.
Okay,
good job.
All right.
So, all right, Brad, let's talk about growing up. So, tell us when you moved to Forest Road, and then what sports you started playing when you got here.
So we moved out here in '65.
Okay.
I was 3.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were not.
I was nothing.
You were not.
I am now. Nothing.
We started playing baseball when we were 8. I think that was the first year we were allowed to play baseball. 8. Pee Wee football at 8.
Okay.
Wow.
Who'd you play for?
For baseball, I started with Post 484.
Okay.
A guy named Mike Seibert was our coach.
Mike Seibert.
And it was funny because years later, I go to long-term sub at Norwood High School, and Mike Seibert is a teacher there.
No way.
Really?
How about that?
You're Mike Seibert.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, it was like maybe 8 and 9. That was it. Then I saw him when I was 25.
Okay.
So
how about that?
And then I went on to play several years with Midland, and I guess you want to call it select ball, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
With Irv Burbrink and Dave Burbrink, and traveled with those guys a bunch. And
so what about so did they back then they had football at that early of an age back?
Pee Wee, the Anderson Pee Wee football,
Was it the Mount Washington thing? Was it Mount Washington?
Mount Washington.
Who was the coach?
Man, Bob Toft, I think, was our first.
Bob Toft.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
How about that?
Talk about what a great guy.
Crazy.
Mr. Barger, I think the
Bolger?
No, I think it was Barger.
Barger?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the kid my age was Danny Barger.
Yeah,
okay.
But him, Dad helped coach a little bit.
Yeah, wasn't he like the trainer too?
Yeah.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Your dad?
He would show up in like all whites.
He had the tape and everything from the fire department.
I could just see him get up.
Because he was
such a passionate soul.
You're not hurt.
Son, you're not
Rub some
hurt.
dirt on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Who do you remember some of the players on that team?
All those guys that were our age. Dale Klump. We played with Dale Klump and some of those guys from McNick.
Yep.
Let's see, and then John Bell and the guys our age.
Yep.
Were some of those guys. And
that's crazy.
Kerry Campbell played in.
Oh, did he? I didn't know either.
Kerry is one of those where we kind of said we're going to football practice, and Kerry's like, oh. We go, you want to go? He said, sure.
Wow.
Then
he jumped on board.
And then we told his mom that, he's playing football.
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, we played Pee Wee football. I don't remember playing much Kiwanis basketball. Then I didn't play basketball until my sophomore year in high school.
Really?
Yeah, I was cut as a freshman.
Okay.
And then made a JV team with Mike Center as a coach.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I was kind of like with Dan. I played as much as Dan.
Yes.
Danny brags a lot.
Yes, I do.
I was one that was smart enough to keep my sweats on most of the time.
Yeah. So so you talk about basketball, but in baseball and in football, what about at Anderson Middle School? Did you play any sports there?
I played basketball for Mr. Frickman.
So you did play in middle school?
Mr. Frickman and then Glenn Clarkson. So I played 7th and 8th.
Okay.
So played 7th and 8th, got cut as a freshman, played sophomore and basketball, and then junior and senior year knew I wasn't really going to get to floor much.
Okay.
So I concentrated on getting ready for baseball between football and baseball.
All right. Well, so let's move into baseball then. So you grew up and you were playing for Midland, you said, and you were going all over the state.
Yeah, state champions when I was in 76, maybe when we were 14.
Yeah.
So
it was good. I was a bat boy.
Really?
Yeah, we had pictures.
That's exactly why they won it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all the
State
influence,
champions.
right?
And
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
is that like, so then it was different then? It wasn't just the city championship?
No.
Or was
No. It was beyond Knothole.
It was like double
okay.
ABC.
Yeah.
Gotcha, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you go into high school.
Right.
All right, so you get to Anderson, and freshman year playing.
I played football for Dennis Kern.
No, we're talking baseball.
Okay, now we're talking baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
My freshman year was my JV coach was Bill Hannigan.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, Bill, we had him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw him running the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
over by TQL.
Well, he lives over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just beyond the Glen. Yeah.
So, okay, so you played freshman for JV because they didn't have a freshman team.
Correct.
Okay, all right, then.
And then
So hold on. So they didn't have a freshman team, and that was back in what year?
that was
It was
77.
Really? Well, was that was around the splits? Was that why they didn't have a freshman team, or was it the numbers weren't big?
We had enough to cut. We just didn't have a freshman team.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So played JV, and then my sophomore year played varsity. My sophomore, junior, senior year with Chuck Bowman.
Okay.
Heimball was the assistant coach.
Right. Yep.
I think my sophomore year was his first year at Anderson.
Really?
And he was, he looked like he was like 17.
Yeah.
So
out of those 3 years, which was the best year for the team? Which was the better
our
team?
overall record was not very good any of those years. We won't even go into what football was.
Well, we are going to go into that. But so in baseball, so you don't know which team was better. I mean, like you had some better players on the team.
Probably my junior year because we had Quinn Newhall, we had Rick Fittos, we had Brian Kennedy.
Yep.
Some of those guys that were playing. My age, it was Bill Harmon, Mark Corona, myself, Sam Tilford.
Yeah.
Sam was just. He had it was like a rubber arm. He'd through, and it was just
Junk ball pitcher.
Junk ball after junk ball.
Yeah. Wow. So who were some of the other guys that played on those teams?
Jerry Wolf you had on because he was a sophomore when I was a senior. Tim Ferguson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pat Knight was a tremendous left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
And ended up didn't play his senior year.
Okay.
But was unbelievable. Out of the guys that I played with, I thought he was probably the most talented on the mound that
Really?
that we saw. Yeah.
So what was it like playing for Coach Bowman?
One of the things I remember is those preseason practices in the gym, which normally just suck. You're in there and you get that and you just want to get out.
Yeah.
And when Bowman would start hitting ground balls, luckily the gym there is big enough that you can get back a distance compared to most gyms where you're not 90 feet back.
Yeah.
But if you don't remember, Bowman played linebacker for Maryland.
Okay.
He was a stud.
He was a big.
Yeah. And he would hit ground balls, and you would stay until you miss. And the more you caught, the harder you hit it.
Yeah.
Some of us were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you go left and right, then you end up diving for balls in the gym, and if you missed, it's going to hit the wall behind you.
I was going to say, ricochet.
Yeah, so you dive and then you duck.
Dodgeball, yeah.
That's funny.
That's funny. All right, so, but he was a pretty stern coach.
Yeah. Yep. I was a high school kid. We had some disagreements.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it is then later on, he went to Glen Estee, and that's where I started teaching.
Yeah.
And we ended up coaching football together.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy.
Wow.
Well, back in the day, they used to play that, was it the Best of the East? Or?
Well, I will tell you that if you're asking for like one of my highlights, that would be it. Because that was the original one. The first one.
Well, that's what I was
Was it Best of the East or Beast of the East?
Or Best?
I think they called it Best of the East.
Best, yeah.
So hold on, let's make sure. So it was Turpin, Anderson, McNick, and Glen Estee?
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
And that was a pretty big deal because I remember them going underneath the lights too.
Yeah.
Weren't they playing underneath
Which was
the lights?
rare.
Yeah.
Right. It was a Friday, Saturday, and their first game was at 6 on Friday, and the second one was after that. And by the time you played that second game, because it's 4 teams that are right there.
Right. It was crowded.
Everybody knew everybody. It was a crowd.
Right.
The field field was pushed up to where it was now.
Yeah.
They backed it up, so there was more area around the foul lines, and people were lined up all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I do remember that. I think, did my cousin play Fritz? Mikey play with you? Was he around?
I don't
did not?
know.
Okay. Because I thought he played.
Younger, probably.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when he graduated. So he's maybe a year. Yeah, I don't remember. I thought he played with you guys. I can't remember though. I lose track on how all that is. But that was a pretty cool tournament that they did.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, that we beat Glenessy the first night.
Okay.
And then McNick beat Turpin. And McNick was really good. They had Tom Jump, Mike King, the Rastanis, Terry Ryan,
Terry Ryan
played at Kentucky. I mean, he's really good ball players.
Yeah.
And the next night we played them, and you know how you remember, like I was just like when you're batting and you're feeling good, the baseball looks like a melon coming in.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't me that night.
No, wow.
I was like 0 for 3, 0 for 4, but in the field, that was the way it was. I mean, I made several pretty good plays, and which is very cool because then you had people coming up to you. I remember Ron Coleman.
Yeah.
Ron Coleman came up to me after that game. He goes, "Son, you played a hell of a game."
Yeah.
And nobody remembers anything I hit because I didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up winning 3-1. I was playing with Joe Dayton at the time.
Oh, Joe was playing first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jeff Harris and some of those younger guys.
Yep.
So.
That's pretty cool.
There's some balls up the middle that should have been singles, and Brad got. That's pretty good.
I don't know how. Just one of those deals where you anticipated, you got a good step, and you got on it, and somehow you get.
I always hated when he played softball and he played shortstop, and I played first base because he'd whip that ball and it would just freaking hurt your hand.
Or throw knuckleballs at you.
On purpose.
On purpose.
Because he knew I didn't like it. So
but this was before grass infield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just rock. And Brad, kind of help everybody. How did they, like before probably that tournament, how did they drag the field, if you recall?
Sometimes it wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it was some guy in a brown Cadillac.
Well, Dad did it a few times.
Really?
Dad would go down there and try to drag.
Fence?
The 66 Cadillac would come around a fence and drag.
That's
but
funny.
Then he got yelled at for doing it. So they told him to stay off the field.
Surprise me.
Because there was a home game that day and Brad was playing short, and so he wanted to go out there and he hooked it up to the back of his Cadillac and dragged the field.
That's how I learned to drive on Post 318.
That is funny.
Dad was in charge of baseball at Post 318. He'd wake me up at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and say, "Come on, son, we got to go drag the fields." And he would be doing something. He'd hook me up, and I'd be like 13, dragging the field at Post 318 in Dad's Cadillac.
That is awesome. I can see Billy doing that too.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome. So let's get into your football playing days, which unfortunately you and I both did not experience. It was probably one of the lean times in Anderson history as far as football goes. But talk a little bit about the position you played and then some of the coaches that you had.
I will tell you that we were 4-2. Only played 6 games as a freshman.
Oh wow.
After that,
all downhill.
Not so much.
Yeah.
The 4 years in high school, we were 2-38.
Jeez, oh Pete.
And we beat Norwood twice.
That was the 2.
Yeah.
That is
rang
crazy.
That victory bell.
And who was the head coach?
The head coach from my freshman. Well, I started playing freshman. From my freshman coach was Dennis Kern and Jeff Krause.
Yeah.
But the varsity coaches from my freshman, sophomore, and junior year was Bob Goodrich.
Okay.
But was that the only 3 years he was there as a head coach, or?
I think so, because I don't think he was.
Well, we can look over here. I don't know. No, that's only 76.
Yeah. Well, then my senior year was when John Stowe came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that before we talk about your playing there. The difference between having Stowe come in, a fresh look, and the guy that came from Ohio State, as opposed to Goodrich.
Right. Bob Goodrich practiced with 22 guys. And there was 35 standing on the side.
Okay.
So obviously I didn't do a whole lot. But my senior year, John Stowe came in, and Ohio State,
right,
Marine sergeant, drill sergeant,
right,
mean as hell.
Yeah.
And he if we weren't going to win, if we weren't going to play defense, then we were almost like a cross-country team because we ran for every point we gave up.
Oof.
Like on certain days, it would be either a grass drill and a 40-yard sprint for every point we gave up, or it would be, like
Did
running the hill.
I was getting ready to ask you, did you do those put those bags on your back and running up and down that hill? Remember that hill right there?
Yeah, outside the gym.
He made you do that. I'll never forget that. Yeah, he did that all the time. And the other thing I remember him doing was taking chin strap off, and he'd smack you on the helmet. He did that to us all the time too.
Taking your chin strap,
Pull it off and smacking you on the helmet, or his
gosh.
whistle, or his whistle.
Was that a Woody thing?
I guess.
The other thing I remember about John Stowe is he never wore pants. If we were outside in uniform, in pads, he was wearing shorts.
Oh yeah, always.
It could be 35 degrees out in late October, early November.
Yeah,
and he was in shorts.
Always pulling
bike
them up
shorts.
too. Yeah. Pulling them up.
The bike shorts.
Yeah.
Bike shorts. That gray
Bike coaching shorts right there, buddy.
That was it.
Oh, all right. So, what did you play in football?
Not much of anything.
Now, wait a minute. I remember watching you play quarterback.
My sophomore year, or maybe my junior year, when we didn't have enough guys, and I wasn't very good. I started as a wide receiver because you have a ton of these guys that are 5'6", 140, and that's what we were. We were all, so we were playing wide receiver, and then we were at Mount Healthy, and we just started the opening kickoff on the JV game on Saturday morning, and because we didn't have a whole lot of kids, our quarterback was back deep, received the kick, ran it back, got nailed, dropped the ball and fumbled it and dislocated his shoulder.
Oh my gosh, who was that?
I want to say Chris Perry.
That sounds right. Yeah. Wow.
So then you're the backup?
So I wasn't a backup. All of a sudden, Bowman comes over because he is the JV coach. Yeah. Hey, Ellis, you ever play quarterback? No. He goes, come here, let me show you. He told me how to take a snap, and that's how I took
crazy.
2 snaps on the side, and I went in.
Did he just say hand it off? Did he tell you what to do on the plays? Because you had no idea. I mean,
well, I was smart enough to understand where the plays were anyway.
Right.
But taking a snap, we weren't very good.
Did you throw the ball?
No. I mean, what I did is I tried to hand off before I got hit.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, and there were some times on those Saturday mornings when we were playing up on the field behind the tennis team. The tennis courts.
Yeah.
We didn't play on the field. We played up there.
Right.
And there was only parents there.
Right.
And I would get hit.
I love playing on that field right there. But it was nothing but a dust bowl.
Yeah.
When you played on it.
Yeah.
But with nobody around, I would get hit, and I'd get back in the huddle, and I'd say things I'm not supposed to say. Then you'd hear Bowman go, Alice, we can hear you.
So did you? I love playing for Coach Stowe. I mean, he didn't, obviously didn't have the wins and losses like he should have. But he's the one that got me to play.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to play. I mean, I wasn't doing anything but just messing around. And I remember walking the hallway, and he's like, "You're going to play football?" And I'm like, "Nope, not going to play." And he just kept bugging me. I was like, "All right, I'll try it." So I loved him. Did you like Stowe?
I liked him. I mean, I knew that we were more into the fact that, God, we're going to run our butts off. Right. Because we were so bad. And it was the first year with him, he had this...
Right, he had to set the culture.
Friday carbo loading. We walked across and we went up to IHOP every Friday. By the 6th week, we're 0-5. We're going to Oak Hills. This is when they had the dualies. One of them went and played tight end at Ohio State. We're going to get killed. Most of the seniors are like, I can't eat another pancake. Down the street, Ponderosa. Oh yeah. Coaches didn't go with us.
We did that, Ponderosa.
Let's go to Ponderosa. We go to Ponderosa. There's however many of us sitting there eating, and the coaches walked in.
Oh, really? They knew you were there?
Either that or they came in to get their meal.
Oh, wow.
I was there, and it was one of those. Coach Stowe walked over and goes, I'll see you in my office when we get back.
Oh, man.
Oof.
He called us all in the offices and ripped us and said we're not playing the first quarter.
Oh, wow.
Which some of us said,
Okay, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
all right.
But how was your hamburger, though?
Oh, it's great. Greg would say this, number 5, well done.
Number 5, well done.
That's fun.
Yeah, the charbroiled. I love the rolls there.
That's good.
Of course you
Everything was good there.
Yeah.
Everything was good at Ponderosa.
All right, so Brad, I want to go back after high school. In baseball, you had a good career at Anderson. You played for Midland, and you had 3 years starting varsity. What was the process like, and where did you end up? Because you ended up going to college.
Well, not a whole lot of process, because I knew that I was going to pay for my own college.
Okay.
And even back then, if you look at Division II and Division III, and you're not getting money, you couldn't afford it.
Right.
So my one and only choice was UC,
Okay.
and my one and only choice was to walk on.
Okay.
Because I didn't get recruited by those guys.
Right.
So in the fall, after I graduated, we went to tryouts, and there was just a ton of guys down there. I don't know, 100 guys maybe.
Wow.
And
for how many spots?
They ended up keeping 2. So, and I will tell you, and Glenn Sample was a coach. It was his last year.
Okay.
And Whitey Kohlmeyer.
Oh, yeah.
Whitey Kohlmeyer was the assistant.
Pat Kohlmeyer's dad.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was assistant coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Well, we went through, and again, by chance, I was the only one to hit a home run out.
Really?
And it was off an upperclassman pitcher, but it's just by luck.
Yeah.
But I got cut. I was cut on the last cut, and I went and talked to Coach Sample, and he said, fortunately, this is where it fell, but, if we ever have anybody, you'll be the first one called back. And I kept my grades up, and I got called back.
Really?
So that's how I made it.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And there were some older guys on the team that went to Anderson.
Yeah, Tim Campbell's still there.
Who?
Tim Campbell. He graduated like 77 from Anderson.
Okay.
Nick Tarpoff.
Tarpoff.
Yeah.
Because he transferred, right?
Right.
Because he was at, where did he
I don't know.
Yeah. It was Jack Knafsey still there?
Jack was gone.
Jack had just graduated?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to hit with Jack. He'd scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were before you had the L screens.
Yeah.
You just pitch.
Right.
You couldn't do that with Jack. We would find a trash can, and I would throw and duck.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he hit everything up the middle.
Yeah.
And also you hear boom off the...
That's a great story, though, man, to make it like that. That's incredible. With that many people, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of freshmen. Mark Thompson's a guy that went to Elder, and he's now the Elder coach. Mm-hmm. He was a left-handed pitcher for them. Jeff Sears was from Amelia. He was playing.
Jeff Sears.
Maz was playing.
Mazzaro.
Yeah. He played?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had several good guys from the east side that they hardly ever recruited.
Right.
Coach Sample was a west side guy, and once you get down there and prove yourself,
Right.
But
that's pretty awesome.
I had my 5 at bats, and
well, so what, man? That's cool as heck making a team like that. Having that many people, 100 people.
It was.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
I mean, that's really awesome.
The other day, I just found a brochure for the 1981 Bearcat baseball program.
Is that right?
Love to see that.
Yeah.
Number 6 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
Sir.
And who's the most famous UC player, the pitcher from the Dodgers?
Oh, it's
Sandy Koufax.
Yeah.
Sandy Koufax. Yep. And Joe Miller played for him.
Yep. Well, Ian Happ right now is not doing too bad against the Reds, and he's a UC grad.
Ian Happ.
Yeah, Euclid.
Yep.
Euclid. That's right.
Kevin Euclid.
That's right. That's right. All right, so let's get past that. Your 5 at bats, which is 5 more than Danny or I had.
Yeah.
So then you started to get into coaching. So let's see if we can walk through your career in coaching. What was your first coaching job, assistant, and kind of walk us through the years? I
was a volunteer assistant baseball coach at Anderson with Lynn Moore. when you guys were still in school, I think.
Yep.
You know, and
You were?
yeah. I mean, maybe my senior year in college or something like that.
Yeah, it was our sophomore year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I also, when you were in school, I was teaching at Glen Essie. After I got my first job teaching at Glen Essie, I was a varsity softball coach at Anderson.
Yeah, we've heard about that.
Because Holly.
Yeah.
Holly said something,
Ennis.
and
Holly
Sue,
Ennis, Holly Deck,
and Sue Vogel.
Kim Greek, Lisa Warner.
Lisa Warner, yeah.
I mean, all those guys. You know, it was still slow pitch.
Ron Alvarez.
Yeah, Ron Alvarez. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, all right. So then, what else did you coach along that time frame?
While I was still in college, I coached JV girls basketball at Turpin with Mike Center.
At Turpin, didn't you also coach at Anderson too?
I helped out with Mike Center and Joe Moon.
Yeah.
Joe was a JV coach. Mike Center was a varsity coach, and I helped them out a little bit, and then I did the book.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went over, and when Mike Center transferred over to Turpin.
Turpin, I went over there and was his JV coach.
Okay. And that was with Teresa Hirschauer?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
She was pretty good.
Yeah,
she had long hair.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah. All right. Then what? Then where'd you go from there?
After I started teaching at Glen Essie, I started coaching there. I coached girls JV basketball there with Paul Campbell, was a varsity coach.
Paul Campbell was the girls varsity basketball coach?
Yep.
No
That's
kidding.
unbelievable.
All right.
Yeah, I coached football with Dennis Ashworth, was a varsity coach. Chuck Bowman was one of the assistant coaches. Ron Moyen was one of the assistant football coaches. And that's all I coached at Glen Essie. Ad Anderson was a varsity softball slow pitch. After I left Glen Essie, I went to Boone County for a year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 1 year I taught.
Oh, and what'd you coach?
Boys JV soccer.
What?
Yeah, that's one of those interviews that goes like this. It's August 2nd. I need a job. And they go, we're looking for a JV boys soccer coach. I said, I'm your man.
Oh,
you ever played? I said, no, but I can stand next to the varsity coach and learn.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
And how did you do?
Well, the team was pretty good, and it wasn't because of me. The team was pretty good.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But I coached, I just taught there 1 year.
Yeah.
What that was, they had a guy who took a leave of absence to be a graduate assistant at UC in football.
Really?
Oh.
And they said, well, he's not coming back. So take the 1 year, and then it'll be we'll get you under contract. And after that year, they fired the entire staff at UC.
Oh, wow.
Including him. So he was coming back, and I lost that job.
Oh, wow.
So after that, I took a job at Southwestern Publishing Company as an editor. But while I was there, I was an assistant varsity basketball coach at Glen Essie boys with Jimmy Stahl and those guys.
I don't remember that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Really? Who else was on that staff? So Jim Stahl was head coach, so Clausen was gone?
I don't know if he was a head coach or not.
Yeah. I mean,
it's 35 years ago.
Yeah. So, okay. Was Ron Coleman coaching?
Ron was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys.
That's great. Man, I honestly, I remember the Southwest the publishing thing. I remember that.
Wow.
I did not know about Boone County.
Yeah.
No clue about the Boone County one.
So
you would think I would know that.
Yeah, you would think you would. Thanks for paying attention.
My bad, Brad.
So, all right, so after that,
I really want to get out of that publishing job. Hated it.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to teaching. And I found a job 3 years later at Blanchester High School.
Did not know that one either.
Went to Blanchester, was a JV baseball coach up there, and that was kind of cool too, because up there the guy that I worked with up there, Dick Goodpaster, he had a deal at Blanchester where they did fundraisers, and they went to Florida for spring break every other year, and the kids could do fundraisers to pay for their trip. And you weren't forced to go, but if you could do fundraisers, or you could just write a check.
Right.
And so we were able to go down, and we would tell the parents that it's not a spring trip. It's not a spring training. It's a baseball trip.
Right.
If you want to see your kid, come to the baseball field.
yeah.
So we did that. I was there 3 years, and I was able to go to Florida once.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, and then so now we've covered Blanchester.
Yeah.
So we're on our fifth school. All right, keep going.
back to Felicity, or from Blanchester to Felicity.
All right, you go to Felicity.
Yeah, they called me and they had an opening. I'm like, first of all, where's Felicity?
What year is this?
97. The year Dad died.
Okay.
Yeah, because I started there in 97.
Okay.
And so they called me and said we had an opening for a teacher. We're also looking for probably within a year or so a baseball coach and an AD. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but Blanchester I went through 4 counties to get to Blanchester, and even though Felicity's in Claremont County, it's still 23 miles away.
Yeah. And
so I started there. The first year, I didn't coach anything because the guy that was a baseball coach and the AD was still there. The second year, he retired, and I took over baseball and the AD spot.
Okay.
So coached baseball there for a while, became the AD. At that point, we had not started any soccer at all. So like the second or third year as the AD, we started soccer. We got that going for a while. And then I gave up baseball. It got to the point where we didn't have enough kids to play baseball.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not a big priority out there.
Right.
So it's not wrong. It's just the way it is. So I gave up baseball, and then I stopped coaching for a while, and.
Then you were just an AD and teach, or just an AD, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then about 10 or 12 years ago, I went back, finished my master's, finished my principal license, became an assistant principal, became a principal. And then a few years ago, I became special ed coordinator. And then they graciously also gave me transportation. And I'm going to finish up in 70 working days.
God, that's incredible.
70 working days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
500 hours left. All right, but you still had a couple of sports that you've coached that you haven't mentioned yet.
I want to hear these.
I also started the bowling program.
There we go. That's the one I wanted.
We've made the full circle here.
The bowling program.
It's incredible because you know what you get? You get the kids that normally don't participate in anything.
Right.
They just want to come out and do something.
Did you have to show them how to bowl?
I hope not.
But he got paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, as you know,
right.
this wrist was in pieces
a
few years ago, and I haven't picked up a bowling ball since. So I don't bowl.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And my number one job as a bowling coach is to drive the van.
Yeah.
I give them inspirational speeches.
And then you figure out who's going to be the number 1 bowler, 2 bowler, 3 bowler, and you have to figure
Pins will tell you who that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So my inspirational speeches are, hey,
knock them down.
Strikes are better than spares.
That's good advice.
Hit more pins.
So then you the last few years, your last coaching position.
Assistant varsity baseball coach for the Fighting Cardinals of Felicity.
There it is.
Yep.
Where we were pretty darn good the last few years.
Yeah, you've had a good group there. That had to be fun.
We had a great, I will tell you, last spring when I finished up coaching baseball, and I knew that was going to be my last coaching job, it hit me then that I was never going to coach again. Because those guys that I coached for 4 years that graduated last year, special group of kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. They love baseball. They love being there. It just made it fun.
Right. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And one of the cool things was like the senior night. You get that sheet that you read about whatever, and normally I read those. I would be the one that reads them.
Okay.
Do it.
And I looked at them beforehand, and out of Felicity we don't have a PA or nothing like that. We had like a portable one that we brought out, and it was baseball, softball, and we like made a tunnel when they walked through. What it was, and I started reading these, and Ryan Talby is the AD and also the baseball coach, a really good friend of mine, great guy, and he said you got to read these. Okay, so I started looking at them, started reading them. I'm like, I can't read these. He said, why not? I said, all right, I can't.
Yeah.
And because we had 5 seniors, and it's like, your mom and dad had, what you did, in high school, what your future plans are, and a staff member or person who had an influence on you, and all 5 of them put me.
Wow,
that's cool.
What's that say?
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I can't do that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
That's awesome,
Ryan.
What a way to end.
But I mean, we've got 2 kids that are playing. One's going to play at UC Claremont.
Yeah.
And the other one is playing at Marietta.
Yeah.
Ryan's son Garrett is playing at Marietta, Division I 3 powerhouse.
Yeah.
And he's rooming with a kid from Anderson, Josh Peterson.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow, that's cool.
We won sectionals 2 years in a row, lost in the district finals 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Just great time.
That's fun. Well, what a great career coaching and well-rounded. All the different sports and everything like that.
Your bio looks awesome on the website.
Gosh, I should be an AD somewhere.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. But let's get into what has become a super cool thing and the passion that you've had for the last however many years. You tell us what you've been able to do as a hobby for both UC and for the Bengals.
Yeah. I think it was the fall of either 94 or 95.
Okay.
And I was at an Anderson game, and I saw Scott Springer.
Yeah.
Scott Springer at the time was doing morning sports for WLW, and he was a sideline reporter for UC.
Okay.
And I just, in a whim, just walked over, and I knew Scott from high school, and I'm like, hey, if you guys ever need any help with a broadcast like that, I'd love to help out. I don't know what I could do, but give me a call.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks later, he calls and he goes, "You ever done stats?" I'm like, "No." But, I know football. I played football. I've coached football. Tell me what you want. I can do it.
Yeah.
And I started doing stats for UC then, and I think it was 95, and I've been doing it ever since.
And as for the radio?
Yeah, for radio.
And who was the announcer then?
Paul Keels.
Was it really?
Yeah.
In 95,
Paul Keels. And Jim Kelly has been there the entire time, and I will tell you, there's not a better man on earth than Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, just a real true. And number 2 right behind him, Dan Hort.
Yeah, so was after Keels, was it Hort or was it somebody else? I think
there was a guy named George Von Benko.
Oh my God!
I remember that.
I forgot about that.
He was from West Virginia.
And
Huggins brought him in.
And he did the Bengals too.
He was from Pittsburgh because he did Duquesne stuff.
But I thought Huggins helped bring him in.
He could have.
Yeah.
But didn't he do the Bengals too? He did the Bengals and
no. There was a guy in between there too.
I thought Van Benko did the Bengals too.
Ken Root did it, and then
what was the guy that came from USC? That new Jim Roop.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Remember?
Yeah, I do. I can't remember his
That's
name.
who I'm probably thinking.
Friend with Lance.
Yeah,
it's probably who I think.
Yeah, yep.
But anyway, then later, a couple years after Von Benko, it's been Dan for a long time, and then in 2011 when Dan went over and got the job for the Bengals, he asked me to come along with him and along with Dave Kelly, who's Jim Kelly's son, who had been doing spotting for us at UC since he was like a sophomore in high school at Sycamore.
Wow.
And so he'd been doing, and now Dave Kelly is on a regular ESPN group where he flies out on Friday night. He goes to whatever game he's doing.
Yeah.
He does the game. He flies.
Does he just spot for whoever?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
How about that job? So, all right. So you started with UC in what year?
Either 94 or 95.
Okay.
Rick Menner, right? Rick Menner.
Oh, yeah.
And so you've been through some lean years, and how unbelievable the last
when we
years.
started, Joe Zerhusen was a PA announcer.
Okay.
Who's now with the Reds, of course.
Yeah.
And he has a son, Joe, who went to IHM with Andrew, my son.
Right. Yeah.
And we would ride down together to the games. And it was so bad that the north end zone, we would tell Andrew and Joey,
stay right there, we'll see you. So
we can see you from the press box, stay right there. I would grab a couple. I would grab
that.
Yeah, I would grab
compared
a couple.
to sold out stadiums.
Yeah, they were like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I would grab a couple hot dogs, from the concession stand or from the press box.
Yeah.
Run downstairs and go here. Here's a couple hot dogs. Here's a couple drinks. Go back over.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh! So, and then when you started with the Bengals with Dan Horde, when he got that job, what year was that?
2011. I think it's my 12th year with them.
Oh my gosh!
And they had said, teasing around. If we ever go to the Super Bowl, we'll try to get you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd that work out?
That worked out. That worked out well.
Last year, he went to the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you and I kind of talked a little bit, and it's just amazing to think of all the stuff, all the games that you've been through, and there's been some incredible games both for the Bengals and the Bearcats.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about it today that I forgot that you were there until you brought it up. Was the Pittsburgh UC game was probably one of the best games I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah.
And you were there.
I normally just do home games with UC. I mean, when Louisville was in the league, I would go to Louisville. I went to Miami several times. I've gone to Marshall. Went to Pitt. The Pike to Ben's game.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
that's where Greg will tell you that's when he broke his chair. Been to Ohio State several times to do games up there, and also along with the Super Bowl last year. Pretty good year last year. I went to Notre Dame as you were there.
I forgot about this.
How about that ride?
So that's incredible. And you know what I love about it is like he'll text me if I'm there. Where you at? And he'll take a picture. He'll try to take a picture of me in the stands. So it's really cool. And then he's actually Brad is on his way because we get there so stinking early to tailgate. Brad will swing by, have something to eat.
But I mean, for all these years, who's got a better seat in the house?
Than
Brad.
Well, and then the last 11 years, being able to sit next to Dave Lapham.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is,
coffin and nails. Bam, bam, bam.
And they call him Ben Jarvis Brad Ellis.
That's what I was going to bring up too. So so just for everybody out there, I listen at my lunch. I sit at lunch and either we Steve and I will call each other right around these scripts and all that stuff. But as I was listening to the radio, they do this thing on Tony Pike's new show on Cincy 360 where they do these call-ins. And they were talking about nicknames and how cool these nicknames are. And all of a sudden, Tony Pike throws out, "What about Ben Jarvis Brad Ellis?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And they were talking about how that's one of the coolest names. They love Dan Horde and love Brad Ellis. Just going on. This I was like, I had to text him right away. And how cool was that he popped that out on you one game?
And he still does it. And it's funny because Ben Jarvis Green Ellis has not played for the Bengals since 2013.
Oh my gosh!
It's been 9 years.
Is that right?
That's crazy. But everybody recognizes and everybody knows that. I mean, it's you need to get you need to get an NIL shirt.
Oh yeah, okay.
And put on the back of it, Brad Jarvis, Ben Jarvis, Brad Ellis.
Oh my gosh, that's very cool.
Yeah, but I mean, with the Bearcats, I get to work with Mo. Mo's the producer.
You've worked with Tony Pike, right?
Tony Pike's the best too. I wish he would do more things with you.
He's awesome.
With the Bengals, it was Andy Furman for a while, and now it's Wayne Box Miller. Wayne Box Miller is very, very cool. Dave Armbruster is just a great guy. These guys could be jerks if they wanted to. And I've been given the opportunity to work a couple of times at different things where guys were jerks.
Right.
And then, I got the opportunity. I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, but I went down to Kentucky. I got a call from ESPN, and they were looking for a stats guy to do the Kentucky Auburn game when Cam Newton was a senior.
Wow. How cool was that?
I went down there not knowing what I'm walking into, because I only know what I've done for the last whatever years with these guys. And so I go into the truck, I check in, and they go, you'll be out in the middle of the regular press box with the headset on. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Just do what you normally do. Okay. And I'm doing what I normally do. I keep stats on all the offense stuff. All of a sudden I hear, when was the last time that Kentucky and Auburn went in overtime? No. Is this like a trivia question? Am I guessing?
Really? What am I going to win?
So I have to go find the SID and ask him, and then I tell him, and then they start going, how many yards does this guy have? I missed 5 plays. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Which it was very cool. Bucket list, check off. I got a check from ESPN. I'm going to go home and work for my boys.
Right.
So I'm like,
Jeez.
But not filling you in and telling you what you got to do. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but it's been an awesome opportunity.
Oh, I'd say
absolutely.
So
I want to get back into the football thing real quick, and you and I kind of talked about this a little bit too. I don't know if you remember. So your coaching days in particular was really cool for me. It was my first year ever coaching. I was coaching freshman football with Tony Diana. You were coaching freshman football for Glen Estee, so we got to go against each other.
Yeah,
okay.
Coaching, and I asked, and you said you didn't remember, but there was our kids were kind of getting into it. I mean, it was almost a brawl.
Okay.
Getting chippy.
And I remember him kind of stopping it, and I remember him saying something about, I know those guys on that side, and it kind of subdued. We both were kind of like that, but I can't believe you don't remember. I just remember it was going to potentially get out of hand.
How was the language?
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Not from Bradley. Not from Bradley.
It wasn't any. It wasn't anything Billy-esque.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. A couple GDs might have been thrown in there.
Oh, sorry. So I want to go back when you said you were the AD at Felicity, and you talked about bringing soccer on. You being at a smaller school, there's still challenges that you have. Talk a little bit about being an AD at a small school and.
Well, I will tell you at Felicity.
How many hours you put in?
I'm sure you had to put a lot.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, I was still teaching a couple classes, so I had to be there. I always got there like 6:45 in the morning.
Okay.
And then I'm there till the last guy walks out of the gym, and on
Sure.
on boys basketball nights it might be 9:45, 10 o'clock, and then a half-hour ride home.
Right.
So but
It's a long day.
Put some hours in.
and it's far enough away that I couldn't come home and go back.
Right.
So put in a lot of hours. The challenge on that is there are times where you've got to schedule around the FFA. Future Farmers of America people, are most successful, and listen, they're the best. They are perennially a top 10 chapter in the United States.
Really?
And there are, and I've learned this over the last 27 years at Felicity.
Yeah.
There are 6 national officers in the FFA. That's it. A few years ago, there was one of the regional vice presidents was from Felicity.
Wow.
She went on to get a full ride to Ohio State.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's unbelievable stuff, and it's not just farming. They teach them, it's cross-curricular. They teach responsibility. They teach them speeching, or speeching. There you go.
Speeching.
There you go. Done speeching. But they, it's public speaking. It's all this stuff, and man, they're so good at it. And as a principal, I've gone to national FFA conventions in Indianapolis, and there are times where, like, when a session releases, I'll be behind all of our kids, and it's at the nationals. It's 50,000 per blue corduroy jackets.
Yeah.
And they all wear their dress blues.
Yeah.
But the chapter's name's on the back.
Yeah.
And I'll get separated a little bit, and there'll be kids between my Felicity kids and me, and you'll hear them go, "Oh, it's Felicity."
Wow. Talk about them.
I want to go, damn right it is.
Wow.
That's awesome.
My kids.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's cool that you get to experience that, because that's like something a lot of people don't understand.
When I got out there from, I'm from Anderson.
Yeah.
It was sports for us growing up and everything.
Right.
And I got out there, and I'm like, my first time around coaching baseball, guys, we're going to practice on Saturdays. We're going to get better. We're going to do this. We're like,
You can't.
No, we're not. The guys are like, we've got responsibilities at home. And it's like, if you want us to play, we're not.
Jeez.
Wow. That would have been hard to work around. Kind of like the movie Hoosiers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Well,
They had all that.
you have to understand the environment that you're in.
Right.
Great kids out there.
Some people can do it, some people can't.
Yeah.
Great kids out there. It's, it's just, that's what they do. That's why in the last week of July, every year I spend days up at the Claremont County Fair, because we have kids showing animals all the time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy. I'd be afraid of the
Take pride
animals.
of that.
Oh, well, we have,
you would be.
we have. I'm sure. Do you know the hog? You know the hog story?
Sure.
Do you know the hog story? So they show hogs, big hogs, and there's the show.
A lot of bacon.
Well, that's a lot of bacon. So
Fry them up in the pan.
I'm in the hog barn, and there's long aisles with cages, on each side, and they're talking to the assistant treasurer for Felicity because she's got grandkids there and kids there that are showing things, and I'm just talking to her, and I'm facing this way, and also hear commotion behind us. And a hog gets loose from the owner.
Oh, wow.
Come firing down the aisle.
Uh-oh.
Next thing you know, it hits me in the back of the exit, and I'm on the back of the hog going down the aisle.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I'm like this.
My God. Oh, my God.
I grabbed one of the rails of the one of the cages and was able to hold on and slide off the hog.
Wow.
No kidding.
That's crazy.
I'm sure I was like,
Oh, I'm sure.
Was there any film of this?
no.
Well, anybody out there, if you got any film out there, let us know. We'd like to see that. Can you use that at the retirement party for Brad?
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know that.
We could talk about film.
No, we can't.
Any type of hypnotism or anything like that.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that story.
that story?
Yeah, I've heard about that story.
Where is that thing?
Yeah. It's in a vault.
So, did you want to get into family?
Well, sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
We were off kilter here. So
You took my question.
jumped it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Brad, tell us about your kids because they lived here and went through Anderson and played sports.
Son Andrew, 33. Daughter Emily. Andrew graduated in 7. Emily in 11. And Andrew played baseball for Shea Wardwell.
Yep.
And he's pretty good. I mean, biased dad thinks that he probably could have played in small college.
Sure.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, what he did is he actually, while he was in college, worked at a place called Mason Indoor Baseball.
Yeah.
And was given like pitching lessons and running like non-hole baseball practices in the winter.
Cool.
So he also, I think it was his freshman year in college, he was the freshman baseball coach at Turpin.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
no kidding.
I wasn't coaching at the time, so I did his book.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's funny because I would show up, and the umpires would come to me and go, "Hey, coach," and I go, "Nope."
It's Junior.
That's cool.
Junior over there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he's doing great. He is now very successful working with Kroger, the corporation, and working on drones and quick deliveries and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Lives up near Eastgate and has one son named Gideon, who is the coolest thing on earth.
Yeah.
And
Says Grandpa.
Yeah.
Of course.
Proud grandpa with a big smile on his
Proud
face.
Grandpa.
And they are pregnant and due with another one in February.
There you go.
That's awesome.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Emily played volleyball, and a biased dad thing. I think she probably could have played too.
She was a libero, right?
She was a libero.
Libero,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Steve.
Wore the
should
different
know this.
colored jersey.
Yes, there you go,
Thank
Danny.
you.
Good job.
And good. Was she good at the pancakes? Getting,
Listen, there's Steve, there's me, there's all these guys. Our entire family went through Anderson. The only people that's on the record boards, Emily, my daughter, is on there for digs.
Digs.
Katie is on there, my niece, for track. She's part of the 4x1. And
Steve.
Kristen is on there for softball.
Yeah.
Are you still on there?
I've always been on there.
Oh, I didn't know if anybody had.
Yeah.
Because it's so old, Steve.
What is it for again, Steve?
Assist.
Yeah.
I hand delivered to you so you can score.
Absolutely did not. Absolutely did not.
Yeah.
If you didn't pass it to Jimmy, he was going to hit you.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the thing. We're going to have to wrap this thing up, but the thing that we always do to end this is our favorite memory. So give us maybe a favorite high school memory, college, and then maybe either a favorite teacher or coach. So we'll start with the let's do the high school.
Probably that night of the Best of the East.
Okay.
It was so cool because there were so many people there.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool, like a team victory. Sam pitched his butt off.
Yeah.
Did a great job. We got a couple key hits. Joe Dayton and those guys had key hits, and I played one of my best defensive games I've ever played.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool.
Really cool.
I think as far as college, I would say just being able to make a Division I baseball team, you know, as a walk-on.
That's awesome.
Not a lot of people can say that.
So
you had 5 at bats. Did you get a hit?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
You have that ball still?
Against the the Marshall Thundering Herd.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome. You got a college hit too. See, that's good.
At the time, the field at Marshall's, the baseline kind of went like this.
Oh, jeez.
That's all right. That's good though.
It was not good.
And then what about a favorite coach or teacher?
Well, I got to say that the one person that influenced me the most and sent me to what I did in my life is Joe Miller.
Okay.
Wow, that's a good one.
You know,
that's a great
one. That's a heck of a good one.
I remember Jumpin' Joe.
Yeah.
You know, he's like always, you know, I mean, he's like an older version of Newt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I'd agree with that.
I think they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jumpin' Joe was there, and, you know, I was
I
was good
positive
friends with Lori.
Yeah.
And, you know, he would always come out and you don't cross him. You didn't cross him.
Right.
You know, but he was there for you the entire time. So
yeah, he was great. I remember him too. He was awesome.
Chris Steffen was also somebody. I was a principal at the time.
Great principal.
I remember I was at a wrestling match, and I didn't go to very many wrestling. I think it was Glen Estee.
Okay.
And I guess it was just hyped up or whatever. And I went there, and there were some kids from Glen Estee that was acting up. And I remember Chris Steffen took this kid from Glen Estee and took him and from like the middle of the gym and took him. This guy's walking backwards as Chris is pushing him this way.
Really?
And the doors were closed, and Chris opened the door that way.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, dude.
You don't see that stuff anymore.
No. If you do, it's on the news.
Yeah, you're sending a message.
That's amazing. Those are some great.
Those are good ones.
Great stories. Great catching up. There's a lot of stuff I did not even know. I mean, and I've known your family forever. And you think I would know? I mean, I knew Vicky was a little baton person. I knew that.
I will tell you probably.
Baton person.
That's pretty good.
As an adult, outside of my kids and stuff, my biggest accomplishment was completing the New York City Marathon.
You did?
1997.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Vaguely remember. Not like I.
Well, tell a story, Brad.
Well, my wife at the time, Suzanne, the dad had leukemia. We all know that. And in '96, Suzanne ran the New York City Marathon for team and training, which you raise money for leukemia in Dad's honor. And so the next year, I decided I would do it. And started training in June, and then I hurt my knee. I had my knee operated in July.
Oh, wow.
And as they went in, I'm like, listen, I have a marathon to run in November, and if this is going to keep me from running, I'm not doing this right now.
Right.
They said, you'll be fine. Well, it was a little more extensive than they thought, and it ended up being like a month before I could start running again. And by the time I could start running again, Dad was in the hospital, and I didn't train. He died on October 12th. We're coming up on 25 years now that Dad passed away. Yeah. And the week after Dad died, I went and ran 6 miles down at Lunkin. The next weekend, I ran it twice. I ran 12 miles. And then the week after that, I went to New York and ran 26.2.
That is nuts. Yeah. Good for you, man. That's nuts. That's
at mile 19, you've got people going, you're almost there.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 7 freaking miles.
Exactly. That's an unbelievable accomplishment. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's
awesome.
That is awesome. That would have been one of my highlights right there. Yeah.
We do these things at school sometimes. You know, we list all the teachers, and like at lunch we'll do something like this. We'll put it up on a screen, match the teacher to their accomplishment.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Ellis in marathon.
Eddie Ellis in marathon.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe Katie, but that's about it.
That's awesome. So, no, that's cool. So we're gonna again wrap this up. And again, this podcast is being sponsored by Summit Estates, Anderson Township, and Minnick grad Jim Serger. His latest book, 9/11: A Time to Always Remember, is on sale now nationwide. Over 90 Americans from coast to coast are in this book, including folks from McNick, Anderson, Turpin, including Steve and myself, host of the USB Inspired sports and podcasts. And these books are available where books are sold or jimsurger.com. So again, thank you to Jim Surger. Go out and get that book. It's an awesome book, and you get to read about our experiences in that. And, pretty cool. So Bradley, it's been pretty awesome. Thanks for coming in here today. And I know everybody's busy and trying to work around everybody's schedule, so I appreciate you coming in and joining us.
Appreciate you having me. The one thing that we didn't talk about, but the start of the Anderson football broadcast.
Oh yeah,
some good times.
Yes, I don't even know why we didn't bring that up. I can't believe we didn't bring that up.
That's okay.
I mean, so you did it for, just real quick. So you did it. How many years did you do it before you left? Because you did it with Greg from 91.
Yeah, when we started to whenever you took over. I gave it up because I was the AD. So, God, including the one time we did the 3 cameras up at Turpin.
Here you guys put me up top. Yeah, I remember that. Froze my butt off, and your dad's just sitting there laughing at me the whole time.
Dad drove his conversion van up to the top.
He sat there nice and warm in his little van, and he's telling me what to do, and I was just like, it's snot frozen on my mustache. Those were definitely awesome. Well, and Brad helps us out still on our broadcast. Would fill in if I can't be there or Greg can't be there, or he's helped out, and he helps me with doing the replays, and the stats does an awesome job. So it's just cool that we're all kind of intertwined together. And thank you for getting the Felicity job, because I don't know if I would have been doing all that. I don't think I would have stuck with the camera part of it.
You owe it all to me, Dan.
Yeah, I do. So, but we really appreciate it, Brad. Thanks again for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. This will be on. I'm sure everybody's going to love it out in Felicity, and maybe we'll tag Jim Kelly and Dan Horde for them to check this out. So we'll send it out to them. So, but thanks again, Brad.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So for Dan Albers, Steve Ellis, and Brad Ellis, you've been listening to This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you next week.